Brighter Shores has been out for just under a week now, and while I'm loving the game so far, I wanted to share a few things I think could be added or improved, so let's get into it with number 1. The first thing I want to talk about is gathering resources. So you're gathering apples for some Hope Forest XP potions. Look at you go, and hey, there's 3 trees in this zone. You'll have a full inventory in no time, except oops, you clicked on the next tree too early and you stopped harvesting and you got to start all over again. Just let us queue resource gathering, even if it's only 2 nodes. Clicking a bit too early only to stop what you're doing is a tiny bit annoying. Let's make the grind feel a tiny bit less grindy. Number 2, and talking of grinds, you know what helps with the grind? Knowledge points. Knowledge points are great. I really enjoy the concept and the implementation of them as a feature. What's not so great? Pop-ups. When you're really close to the next knowledge point unlock, like a passive XP method or something like that, and you unlock a knowledge point, I think you should be able to save it, rather than having to close the pop-up every time you earn XP. Look, maybe this should come with some limitations so people aren't hoarding them and going from level 20 to 500 when a new skill releases in 6 months, because we all know how MMO players be. On to number 3, and let's talk about leveling up. How many fish do you need to catch until you reach the next one? Look, I know we're going to see calculators pop up any day now, if they haven't already, but I say beat them to the punch. Let me see how many potions I need to make or how many fish I need to catch before my next hit of endorphins. I would love to be able to mouse over every ingredient or recipe and see a little actions until next level tip so I can plan my next trip to Hope Forest accordingly. Number 4, and okay, you've foraged and you've fished and you've got a bunch of resources. Great, now it's time to process them. So you're making Hope Port XP potions. Go withdraw 10, then 1 white periwinkles, and the same for horn shells. Annoying, right? How about instead we withdraw everything we need for that particular potion by selecting the recipe rather than the ingredient? Oh, and while we're at it, let's get us a withdraw X option. Withdrawing 10 and then 1 for each ingredient in a 2 ingredient recipe gets pretty annoying. Withdrawing 12 sets of ingredients? Much nicer. At number 5, let's talk about drinking those XP potions. And let's maximize our XP by drinking them as we make more XP potions. We've got everything ready to make our potions, but we forgot to drink our XP potion beforehand and now our inventory's full. So we're going to need to deposit some ingredients into the ingredients bank, then withdraw a potion, drink it, go back to the ingredients bank, and withdraw the ingredients again. How about instead just being able to drink it straight from the banking screen? More convenient, right? On to number 6, and I'm asking the question, how long does it take you to make a full inventory of bacon sandwiches? How about a full inventory of potions? Look, I don't want to time these things manually. You know what I want instead? An in-game timer. When I hover my mouse over the current activity panel, I think it would be an awesome quality of life feature to see how long I have left before I've finished my current set of actions. Up next at number 7, I want to talk a little bit more about timers, and specifically the timers relating to potions. Here's the situation. You're grinding out a skill and you've got your XP potions at the ready, and all the stuff you want to be processed, let's say oak planks. So you drink an XP potion and you process 1 inventory of planks, sell the result and grab your second inventory, but by now you've burned through most of the XP potion's timer, and what's left won't carry you through to the second inventory of logs. But here's the thing, you can't drink another XP potion until the last one is about to run out. So you either wait 20 seconds to drink another potion, or start processing this inventory of logs and then stop midway through to drink another potion. I say let us drink like it's happy hour. Sure, it's not going to be super efficient in terms of potion use, but you know what? It's 6 o'clock somewhere, right? At this point, if you're enjoying the list, please consider dropping a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more similar content. It's number 8 and it's time for bed. Sticking with the theme of timers, and don't worry, we're not talking about alarm clocks, but let's say you're ready to do an overnight fishing trip, and wake up with a few crates of dabs. How many crates do you need? How many sea slugs will you use as bait? You don't know, because there's no resource timers. As with many things on this list, you could totally find a guide, but why not just put it on a little pop-up when you mouse over the item? Less maths for me makes me very happy, and meticulously planning how long we're going to be away from the game in relation to how many resources we'll gather while we're away is obviously a completely healthy behaviour and in no way any sign of addiction. At number 9, we're going to talk about littering. When I throw items on the floor, I'd like to see something a bit more 3-dimensional. Right now we get these frame things, which kind of remind me of the Minecraft item frames. It's serviceable, but I think it breaks immersion a bit when you drop an item and you get a 2D representation of that item, rather than the item itself appear on the floor. Look, I get it, this game's in early access, it's a team of 8 people, that's fine, but food for thought. So speaking of food, at number 10 I want to talk about the recipe books. Now I get what they're going for here, a physical thing you need to check to see the ingredients of potions and cooking recipes. It's a cool concept. But when you're out looking for ingredients in Hope's Forest and suddenly forget whether you're looking for hellberries or bitter fruit, it can be kind of annoying to have to teleport all the way back to Hopeport to check the book in the Alchemist's Workshop. Look, I don't want to take away from the concept of the recipe book, so how about this instead? Let us pin individual recipes to our HUD, letting us track ingredients we want to gather for a single recipe, and then ticking them off as we go. I think this would strike a nice balance between flavour and function. But let me know what you think in the comments. We're going to talk about the map a little at number 11. You know what you want to make, and you know exactly what you need to gather for it. You've scouted out the map and you know where it is. Awesome. So you click View on Map next to the item in the Professions tab and bam! The minimap pings off and shows you where the resource is. That's great, but now I need to figure out how to navigate my way there. Let's have a way to throw up a route to the resource from our current location, or even mark it on the map so I'm not scanning the map constantly as I'm running in the vague direction of where I understood the resource to be. They could take it a step further by adding a go-to option, but I do wonder if there's a risk the game might start to play itself at that point, and this isn't an idler after all. Number 12, and let's put the M back in MMO. This game is multiplayer after all. How old do you think the average player in Brighter Shores is anyway? I'd wager that there's almost no under 18s, and most of the player base is sitting around 30-ish. And yet the filter in this game acts like an overzealous Orwellian big brother. I genuinely had a hard time telling a friend about how banking worked because it thought I was trying to steal his identity, and I had to tell them to check my YouTube channel out by saying, "Search my name on video website." Make the chat filter more reasonable and give us the option to disable it entirely. Come on man, we're all adults here. Unlucky number 13, and speaking of other players, how about a right click option on other players to see their stats? I want to stalk my fellow Brighter Shorians, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'd wager that you do too, and I think adding this would add a sense of community that MMOs kind of thrive on and that Brighter Shores is sort of lacking at the moment. Another element of this that's kind of a mixed bag is that we can gauge whether we're doing the right thing for our level by checking out what others are doing at our level. Sure, this can lead to the blind leading the blind, but that's what happens in society sometimes, and after all, an MMO is a kind of society. I think clipping this element of an MMO loses some of the essence of what it means to be an MMO in the first place. Number 14, and continuing the theme with the multiplayer element of the game. So look, you've made a friend and you want to grind out some XP together. Well, that's great. You're both going to get enhanced XP and company is always nice. But wait, you're in a crowded area and there's a stranger co-op cutting the tree you and your buddy were eyeing up. Looks like one of you is going solo on this one. This one's an easy fix with some kind of priority system. Let us partner up selectively. Also, I'd like to be able to add some kind of notes to my friends list so that I can remember who I met where and not have that awkward conversation when I log in 2 years and I've forgotten who's who. Coming in last on the list at number 15 is the Entity Hider. Sick of cooperation and want to go back to being a weird loner? That's respectable, but hey, aren't those players a little distracting? Looks like you're going to need an Entity Hider. Sometimes we just want to play MMOs alone together. And an Entity Hider can be really useful when you're looking for resources in crowded areas as well, or you just want to make everyone else invisible to satiate your main character syndrome. On this point, tile markers would also be a nice addition. The ability to highlight certain resources without spamming the scent spell would be really cool, but I think that this might be a step too far for some people. But hey, that's the list guys. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to let me know in the comments what you'd like to see added to Brighter Shores in the future. I will be reading every single one, and tell me whether or not there was anything in this list you disagreed with. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content, but in the meantime, I've been a Berry Plays Bye.